All right, welcome to a new video. This is going to be a video in the coding series. You might notice this video is a little bit different. It's going to show myself to a high degree. I just want to demo a new way of coding I discovered that I've been having a lot of luck with. I've been able to spend a lot of time coding. Right now, I'm working on a metronome to be like the ultimate greatest metronome in the world. That's not just like every other metronome that has some extra features that are desperately lacking for musicians of all kinds. So it can be used to practice world music, really complex polyrhythm, polymeter changes that exist in other kinds of music. It has extra features for odd time, specifically grouping the beats. And then the most powerful feature at all, which is going to be the most buggy feature, is tempo changes. I haven't found a metronome yet. I think I found one metronome where you can practice, for instance, in an orchestra piece the tempo changing gradually from one tempo to the next. So that is in just about every Western classical piece ever written. It's called a Rondo to go faster, or a rallentando, or it could also be called a rallentando. That one I don't see as often. I think that's to go faster. I don't even know. Or the one that's more common, the ritardando, to go slower. So with my metronome, you can practice that. Let's say that the tempo is 100 beats per minute um, on measure one. On measure five, the music has the marking accelerando to speed up. And on measure 10, there's a new tempo. The tempo is now 150 beats per minute. Well, this is one of the most difficult things to practice in music. And part of the reason is because it's so ill-defined. Like, what does it mean to speed up? There's multiple different kinds of rates of change. One rate of change is you just literally gradually increase from one tempo to the next. Another rate of change is you keep the tempo more or less the same, and then suddenly, if it was a five measure change, for the first three measures, you would slowly speed up and then you'd suddenly speed up at the end. Another rate of change would be like a sigmoid curve rate of change, where you slowly speed up for measure one, then you rapidly speed up for measures two, and then for the final measures, you level off so that before you're at the marking, that's the 150 beats per minute marking, you're already nearly there before that measure occurs. So it's very ill-defined what it means to speed up. So that's one reason why it's so difficult to practice those. It's not even clear what is meant by speeding up or slowing down. At what rate of change do you even do that? It's not marked clear. And in fact, a lot of these pieces were written at a time where this was not common knowledge. Now, back in the time of Mozart and Beethoven, they worked for kings. They were part of the wealthy elite, so they likely did have access to the work of somebody like Newton, because that work was because Newton was born before them. But for instance, Bach definitely would not have had the work of Newton. Bach himself was a scientist that studied nature, so he might have been aware of rates of change. We're just watching flowers bloom and stuff like that. But there's no indication that in any of these composers, the rates of change they have in their music have been thought of with such detail. So that's why I'm making an assumption. We're going to just go with a linear rate of change for everything, but this is going to give the ability to practice that, which is going to really go far because, as I said, not only do people tend to not practice rate of changes, even if they did, they'd kind of have no guideline or standard for which to practice them. So I'm setting that standard right here, right now, linear, and I'm building a tool that can help musicians practice that. So so I want to demo a workflow that I've discovered in my coding that I've really enjoyed. So I'm the proud owner of a Quest One. I bought this around I bought this I think in December of 2021, and then the pandemic hit in everything shut down I think in March of 2020. So I had this thing for a few months, just kind of play with it. Oh, it's kind of neat. Don't really have much time for it. Have some extra cash, so just throw it into this back then. And then the pandemic hit, and I'm in this every day. I'm just hanging out with people, talking about stuff, just kind of hanging out, which was a great escape. So this thing kind of became a lifesaver for me during the pandemic, and I got really used to using it. I don't get any motion sickness anymore. You put me in the crazy, craziest scenario in this thing. Now I haven't used this in a while, so I might now, but I very quickly will get used to using this again. Not only that, when I first bought it, and you can see in some of my older videos, I used to wear these really thick Coke bottle glasses with all of the technology in them to make the lens thinner. Even with all that technology, they were still thick Coke bottles because my vision was and is very, very poor. I'm a -8, I think, in the left and a -8.5 in the right, with a pronounced astigmatism in the right, which is funny because my main hobby is juggling, but my vision is really poor. So in 2022, I got ICL surgery. I got contact lenses permanently implanted into my eyes behind the cornea, but in front of the natural lens. And then normally the flow of fluids in your eye goes through the pupil. Mine now goes through holes cut out in the iris in the white part. So my optical flow no longer goes through the pupil because that's blocked by a lens. But my eyes look more or less exactly the same. I think they look exactly the same. It doesn't change your eye color or anything. And I not only can I see, like I can see magnificently, especially in my left. I noticed recently my right kind of can't see so good. I don't know what's going on with that. But this enables me to use this comfortably too. After I have my glasses on, stuff like this, like a scuba diving mask, it was just hard to use stuff like this. So this is another big reason why I like this. The other thing to note is, I've had my headset for more than 5 years. I've used it to the ground for like everything. I've basically lived in VR during the pandemic. I never quite fell asleep. I've heard stories of people, and this is wild. People would use VR. I've met people that did this. They would use VR so often that they would fall asleep with their VR goggles on, and then they'd wake up with them still on. So their contiguous experience of consciousness is in VR in between sleep. So like for some of these people, like their brain just starts to latch onto VR and they almost like lose sight of the real world. I never got that deep into it, but I've definitely met, well, basically, let's put it this way. Facebook investing billions into the metaverse makes sense to me. But at the same time, I think the technology is a bit too new still. You've got certain effects that break the immersion, such as the screen door effect. It looks like you're looking at everything through a screen window. And then I think the software is kind of lags behind. There's some really creative, talented developers, but in the end, um, it's just kind of a bit of a novelty. That's one thing the AI revolution I think will change is we're going to get insanely well written applications for VR pretty quick. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about was my new coding workflow. So Let me adjust my screen here. So you should be able to see myself just as you saw before, off here in the corner. Yep, in the corner. So I'm going to keep myself up off here in the corner. And now you should be able to also see my screen. So now I'm going to turn this on. I only have one controller because, as I said, it's just kind of broken. Oh, you know what? I actually might have the second controller working now. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So the second controller wasn't working. I did add some contact cleaner to it and then let it dry overnight. So it is dry now. So let's see if we can get the second controller working. But really what this video is going to be about is coding. It's going to be in my coding playlist and it's going to be about coding. So let me start by putting the goggles on. As everyone knows, I wear these constantly all the time. They block down noise and they allow me to hear things without turning it up too loud. So I take these off. I put the headset on, and I don't have to put it all the way on yet. I can tip it up and still see the real world. Then I put these on over it. So now I get my microphone feeding into these, and I get audio through these and not the headset. And the hard part about all this is not as much the hardware as it is the software. You have to toggle all the correct settings on your computer. If you get that wrong, then it doesn't work. So the other thing I have is the Oculus Link right here. So this turns this into the same power as Oculus Rift. So now now I'm going to go into VR. Okay, so I hit the power button here, and I'm seeing my battery's at 100%. Great. It charges the Oculus Rift cable charges it, which is really nice. You just plug it into your computer and it's charged. And it also enables you to play games with more power, drawing power from your PC. And in addition to that, it enables you to look at and interact with your desktop, which is the main feature. So sometimes this is a little difficult to turn on. You have to, yeah, you have to hold down the button to turn it on. So now it's turning on. You'll see the symbol for Facebook, which definitely gets a little bit because when I first bought this thing, I saw the symbol for Oculus. It's like, oh, Oculus, and then boom, Facebook. It's almost like the Jolly Roger Skull and Bones flag are now showing up on it. Not which to any recruiters, hiring managers out of Facebook, I'm sorry, I take back everything I said. But this should be yep. So this is loaded now. So now we've got to set the Guardian. I'm going to change the Guardian. Um, I prefer to use a stationary Guardian because the stationary Guardian um, is just quicker to set up. And then I've experienced when I use VR, the Guardian just like randomly stops working all the time, and when you have to redraw it, it's just like super annoying. So let's check this other. Let's see if the contact cleaner revived this. Nope, still not revived, and we can see the white light on this didn't turn on. So it's kind of funny because this one I actually dropped a lot. As I said in previous videos, everything I own has been dropped from a height of probably 3 to 6 feet, except for except for a few things, but I'm very worried about them. So I've got a big crack here. So this is the one that's busted. This is the one that's still in like good condition, and this is the one that doesn't work. So go figure, right? But for this workflow, I only need one. So now I've got a menu in here that says Enable Quest Link. So I'm going to click Enable. All right, so now I'm in Quest Link. So I have a menu at the bottom that says Desktop, and there we go. So now you see what I see. So I'm just sitting here with my controller. I'm gonna switch over to the browser, and you see what I see. The difference is that I see it in VR. And the other cool thing about this is I can just plug in I can start up a conversation with ChatGPT in here. I don't have to use my keyboard or mouse or anything. I'm just sitting here, just like pointing at shit and like talking to this dude Cove. So this is like game changing for me because this enables me to think like really creatively, think really and having this thing on my face is like, oh, I'm locked in now. I'm not doing anything else for but coding, which really helps. You can see I have a bunch of YouTube videos up, including one that I really want to watch. That is nearly a half an hour long. Well, I'm not going to watch that now. I'm going to do coding, and I think a large part of it is because I have this thing on my face that gets me locked in. So I'll just briefly check in with the AI. And the AI has been kind of acting up today. I don't know. I just haven't been able to. You know what? I'm gonna restart my browser because the AI has been acting up quite a bit. It might be on my end. It might be my browser. Okay, and the browser's not even starting up now either. The other thing that's cool is I can use my keyboard and mouse still. Um, so uh, so I can kind of switch between the two. So there we go. I opened up my keyboard, but with the Quest on, in fact, I think this might be the main issue with the Quest. The keyboard and mouse become very laggy. I think that might be the main thing that causes that lag is when I forget to turn my Quest off. Now all the signals are all messed up, and it ruins the keyboard and mouse. So so yeah, so we got this open. Let's test ChatGPT. And we can see this is the problem I've been having with it before. I click on this chat.openai.com, chat, and nothing comes up. So while that's trying to load, which ChatGPT is probably down today, I mean it goes down. That's it's a new technology, so it goes down a lot. Let's look at the my Visual Studio Code. So this is how I've been working. Um, I've been um, I've been making changes to the code and doing some combination of myself thinking about the code and myself and the AI thinking about the code, and then we deliberate and we make changes based on it. So just what is here raw what I'm doing. I can click this go live button because I installed the go live server, and I can do this all in VR. And now I open the version in my Visual Studio Code, and we can see that the site can't be reached for some reason. It could be reached yesterday, but now it cannot. Oh, there we go. I clicked that twice, so I deactivated it. So now we can see the browser metronome loads, and this is the version that's in my VS Code. So we can, and now I'll demonstrate the goal of this coding session, which is to troubleshoot a bug. So we can hear that sounding pretty good. We can see the accent grouping pattern is checked. So let's change the accent tone to a bell. There we go. Now we've got an accented tone. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll do a sound check to make sure that that is audible. And I can do all of this. It might be a bit too high. Sorry about that. There we go. Or, yeah, that should be a bit better. So I could do all of this, the sound check and all of that in VR just with this one controller. If I had two controllers, I could do it even better. But just with this one controller, it's good. So um, so there we go. Yeah, that's working. We verified that. Let's verify a odd time. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's verify a grouping pattern. We're going to do long, short, long. So long, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. Okay, so that's good. Let's verify a subdivision in eighths. So we do have a bit of a problem here. When we select the eighths, there's a bug here where it deselects the grouping pattern. So that's not so good. Let's select the grouping pattern again. Okay, and let's have a wood block for the subdivision tone. Long, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. Okay, so that is so all of the accents and tone levels seem to be working. We do seem to have a bug with the accent grouping. Um, and then but and then we'll have the bug that I'm trying to troubleshoot. So let's check in with the AI now that it's loaded. Okay, and we can see the AI is probably down today. I don't think it has to do anything with my. We could try an incognito tab. Sometimes that helps. So you can see everything I'm doing right now. I'm using on my headset. I can even just log in with a pass key. Oh wait, no. Log in with my email. Yeah, see how everything auto completes. So it's like I just have to go like I don't even have to, put my fingers in the home row position. Like why would I even do that? So oh, you're gonna see me. Oh no, you can't see what I see entirely in well, let me just type it in with my keyboard here.
Got it. It sounds like you're using a headset and leveraging autocomplete to make things more efficient. That's a neat setup. If you ever want to streamline your workflow even more or have questions about different tools, just let me know.
Oh, good, you're back. Sorry. Yeah, there was an issue where you weren't loading up, but it sounds like you're good now.
No worries, I'm here now. Glad it got sorted out. If there's anything you need help with or want to dive into, just say the word.
Okay, so it sounds like yeah, it sounds like you're ready to go. So let me explain to you what I'm doing here. I'm making a YouTube video for my audience on my YouTube channel.
Awesome. That sounds like a great project. What kind of video are you working on for your channel? If you need any tips or help with the content or setup, I'm here for you.
So I'm working on a video as part of my series on coding. I'm demonstrating a new basically way to work on coding that I've described or that I've discovered yesterday that has led me to work to do some good work on a self-coding project.
Nice. That sounds like a valuable addition to your series. Highlighting a new approach or technique can really resonate with your audience, especially if it's something that's improved your workflow. If you want to bounce ideas around about how to present it or what key points to emphasize, let's go for it.
Okay, so yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm building the world's best metronome. I'm a musician, and the metronomes I've used have often left a lot to be desired. So I'm going to build a metronome with all of the features that I want in a metronome.
That's a fantastic idea. Customizing a metronome with all the features you need can be a game changer for musicians. What kind of features are you planning to include? Maybe things like customizable time signatures, different sound options, or advanced tempo controls? Let's make sure it stands out from the rest.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the features we got so far. So the first feature we've got is we've got it in different like cards or different areas of the metronome. So the first area of the metronome is the tempo metronome. So you can set any beat per minute you want in increments of 1 beat per minute. You can tap the tempo to set a custom beat per minute based on the rhythm of your tapping, and then you can start or stop the metronome. So when you're ready, I'll tell you about the next feature in the metronome.
That's a solid start. Having precise BPM control and a tap tempo feature will definitely make it user-friendly and adaptable. Once you add more features, it's going to be a powerhouse tool for musicians. I'm ready to hear about the next feature whenever you are.
So the next feature is a meter and subdivision. So you can change the time signature, and I've got a lot of time signatures. I've got 2/4, 3/4, all the way up to 5/4, and then I've got time signatures in 8 as well. 6/8, 7/8, 9/8, 11/8, and 13/8. And then in addition, I have the ability to subdivide by eighths, triplets, or sixteenths.
That's fantastic. Offering a wide range of time signatures and subdivisions makes your metronome super versatile. Musicians working with complex or unusual meters will definitely appreciate that level of flexibility. It's shaping up to be a really comprehensive tool.
Yeah, I like it, but the problem is there's some bugs. So we've got a bug in the next section, the accent grouping section. So what this section does is it allows you to accent certain parts of your time signature. So if we're in 4/4, then it automatically changes a visual a series of check boxes all automatically change to match the time signature. So if we're in 4/4, we have four of these check boxes, and we can check any one of these check boxes, and then make the sound that triggers different based on whether or not the checkbox is checked. And this is a super useful feature when it comes to odd time signatures, because the other feature we have in this section is the ability to select a grouping pattern. So odd time signature music actually isn't so odd in certain parts of the world, and that's because they think of the music as long, short, or the opposite. Short, long, and it's like a dance. Like you can think of it, it's really easy to to dance in that way. So in a lot in some cultures where dance is a key part of music, odd times aren't so odd at all. In fact, they're the regular time signature, because you can think of a a short long sort of dance as being more natural in time. So that's the other feature. The other part of this feature is you can select the grouping pattern of the odd time in a macro way. So if you're in 13/8, you don't have to go through and select it all yourself. It can make it more convenient to use the metronome.
That's a brilliant approach. The accent grouping and pattern selection features are super useful, especially for musicians who work with complex rhythms. By making it intuitive to set those patterns, you're addressing a real pain point. It's awesome that you're incorporating cultural perspectives on rhythm and dance as well. Once you iron out those bugs, this feature is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of other metronomes don't have this feature, but that brings us to our first bug. So our first bug is when you select the time signature in the prior section, the meter and subdivision section, it changes the accent grouping section. It shows the different beats you can accent. So we know that a time signature is has two numbers. The top number is the number of beats in a measure, and then the bottom number is the note value to which beats are assigned. So if the bottom number is a 4 and the top number is a 3, then we're going to have three quarter notes to constitute a whole measure. If the bottom number were a 2, we would have three half notes. If the bottom number were an 8, then three eighth notes would constitute a full measure. So what's happening is if I select an odd time and then I select a grouping pattern for it, and then I select a subdivision. I go back to the prior one and I do a subdivision. The grouping pattern is reset, is reset and erased rather than persisting.
Got it. That definitely sounds like a tricky bug. It makes sense that the grouping pattern should persist even after adjusting the subdivision. You'll probably want to store the grouping pattern as a separate state so it doesn't get overwritten when the user changes subdivisions. Once you fix that, it'll keep the user experience smooth and intuitive, especially for those who rely on those intricate groupings.
Okay, yeah, I think that could make sense. So there's more features. Let's see, there's one, two, three, four more features. Would you like to hear the next feature?
Absolutely. I'd love to hear about the next feature. The more details, the better we can understand how everything ties together into a comprehensive tool.
Yeah, so the next feature is the tones and levels feature, and this is probably one of the most important features at all. So what this allows you to do is to select different sounds that play for each of the tones that the metronome that can produce. So there are three tones the metronome can produce. It can produce the main tone with no alterations, accents, or subdivisions. For that, we have four different tones. It can make a click, a tick, a bell sound, or a woodblock sound. And then in addition, we have a slider bar that can change the volume for that. We have two more tones besides that, each of them with those four same sounds. The second tone is the accent tone. When you select one of the beats in the accent grouping, you can change the tone that is made. And then the final one is the subdivision tone. When you select a subdivision, you can decide to have the tone of the subdivision be different from the main tone or the accent tone, or you can decide to have it be the same as either the main tone or the accent tone. And then each of these have the volume bar, so you can adjust the volume on them. This is probably one of the most important features of the metronome because it allows you to clearly hear the rhythms.
That's a really comprehensive and flexible feature set. Being able to customize the tones and their volumes for the main, accent, and subdivision beats is crucial for musicians to clearly distinguish complex rhythms. It also allows users to tailor the metronome to their personal preferences and their practice environment. This level of control will definitely set your metronome apart from the standard options out there.
Yeah, so everything works pretty well so far. The only bug we've got so far is the one I mentioned in the accent grouping section. So let's move to the next feature. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Let's dive into the next feature. I'm all ears.
So the next feature is what separates my the next feature is what separates my metronome from all other metronomes. It's a feature that I've only, in my experience of being a musician, I've only seen one other metronome have. And this is the tempo changes feature. It allows you to practice speeding up or slowing down in a piece of music. It also allows you to practice sudden changes. Let's say suddenly you want the music to go faster. And through that, it also allows you to practice meter changes that remain the same speed. What it is it's a table. The table has rows in it, which you create by adding the changes you want. And it also has columns. The first column is the start measure, where you want the change to start. The next one is the type of the change. You can make it sudden or gradual. The next one is the new beats per minute. You can have it be the same as the old, or you can adjust it per single beat per minute. The next one is the new meter. Do you want to keep it the same as it was before, or do you want to change it to any of the other meters? The next one is the duration. And I feel like this is where there might be some bugs. There's a bug associated with this. After I'm done explaining to you the feature, I'll explain to you the bug. So the duration is how long does the change take. So if it's sudden, then of course the duration is just going to be one. If it's gradual, though, this would be, for instance, you're playing a piece in your community orchestra. You see on measure 15 it says a cello rondo, and then on measure 20 it has the new tempo. So that would be a duration of a 5, a gradual change over 5 measures. And then the last one is it's called action, and and that allows you to delete the entry in the table. That's the only action you can take. So that's the final column in the table. So what you do is you go and you toggle those settings: the start measure, the type, the new BPM, new meter, duration, and then you add the changes to the table. And if you want to remove them, you can go into the action column and click the removal action for the table.
This tempo changes feature is a game changer, especially for practicing pieces with dynamic tempo and meter shifts. The table-based setup gives users a clear and flexible way to map out these changes, making it a powerful tool for rehearsal and performance practice. It's also rare to find metronomes that handle gradual tempo changes and meter shifts so seamlessly. Once you iron out any bugs with the duration handling, Bit's feature is going to make your metronome invaluable for musicians working on nuanced pieces.
I agree. So what I want to do is now we've got this second bug here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and explain to you the bug. Now the bug here is pretty complicated, so it might be difficult for me to explain. So we'll talk about the bug when you're ready to do so.
Sure thing. Take your time explaining the bug, and I'll do my best to understand the complexity. Once we pinpoint the issue, we can brainstorm some potential solutions or workarounds.
Okay, so there are two main issues with the metronome. The first one's or not the metronome, with the tempo changes feature of the metronome. So the first main issue, it's not necessarily a bug. It's just a matter of usability. Sometimes it's difficult to know which measure you're going to start the change. It's difficult to know the start measure of your change, what that would be, if you have a series of changes in the tempo changes table. So, for example, if I create an entry that starts on measure 10 and that has a duration of 3, you can do the math and you can know that you've got to start the next one at 14. But that creates a number of pitfalls for the user to make a mistake. The first one, they could be an off by one error where they thought they counted the number of measures correctly, but they were off by one measure because they didn't understand how to count it. And then the second one would be just a basic math error where they just did the math wrong and started it on the wrong measure. So it would be great if there were some sort of additional thing with this where the start measure basically told you what measure you are on currently, and now you can choose the start measure based on that scaffolding, that framework of having it more clear which measures are in question. So that would be a really good way to prevent user error. So tell me what you think about that, and then next I'll tell you what the actual bug is that is aside from user error and that is in the actual code.
I think that's a great usability enhancement to consider. Providing a visual indicator or some kind of automated measure tracking could definitely reduce the potential for off by one or math errors. It would streamline the process for users, making it more intuitive and less prone to human error, especially when dealing with multiple tempo changes. It adds an extra layer of user-friendliness, which can make a huge difference in a practice tool like this. Looking forward to hearing about the actual bug in the code.
Okay, so the actual bug in the code is a bit hard to explain, but I've narrowed it down to make it easier to explain. So what we do, so this is how we create the bug. We start with all the default settings on the browser metronome. Um, so that would be a BPM of 100, a time signature of 4/4, no subdivision, a grouping pattern of the first beat in the measure accented, and then the accent tone as a tick. So if we were to start, we would hear in sequence tick, click, 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 tick, click, click, click. So now we're going to replicate the bug. So we want to hear tick, click, click, click for one measure. So we're going to create the bug by starting a tempo change on measure two. The tempo change is going to be sudden. We're actually not going to change the tempo. We're going to keep it at 100, but we're going to change the meter to 3/4. Then we're going to add the change, and we're going to leave the duration as 1. So right here, right now, we should hear tick, click, 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 tick, click, click. And if we don't hear that in those two measures, even right there, there's a bug. So let's see if we get that. So what we get is tick, click, 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 tick, click, click. Yeah, so already right there, just in those two measures, instead of getting tick, click, 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 tick, click, click, we got tick, click, 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 tick, click, tick. So even just in those two measures, we see what the bug is. But then, of course, as you add more complexity, we still get the unexpected result.
Thanks for breaking that down. It sounds like the bug is causing the metronome to misinterpret the measure count or the transition logic when the meter changes from 4/4 to 3/4. Instead of maintaining the correct sequence of beats, it's skipping or repeating beats unexpectedly. This could be tied to how the code handles the measure index or the timing of the sudden meter change. Fixing that logic should ensure the correct beat sequence and make the transition seamless, even with more complex tempo and meter changes.
So we're gonna have to come back and work on that later. So there's two more features of this metronome so far. Would you like to hear the next one?
Absolutely. Let's keep going. I'm excited to hear about the next feature and how it enhances the metronome even further.
So the next one is the presets feature, and this is a great one too. So if you're working on like multiple pieces for a community orchestra and you need to work on multiple sections, once you have the metronome settings all figured out, especially with like the tempo changes table, which can be a bit tricky to set up, now you can save it. So we can say like we're gonna name it Ravel. Let's say we're practicing a Ravel piece, so we're gonna name it Ravel, and then we can save the preset, and then we can load the preset later. So if we're working on another piece, let's name it Schubert, Schubert. So we're practicing a Schubert piece as well. We can save that too. So now when we're practicing, we can load the metronome settings to the piece we're practicing, and save time having to set up this complicated metronome with all of its features. And then when we're done with it, we can delete the presets as well.
That presets feature is a huge time saver and convenience boost. Being able to quickly switch between different pieces or sections without reconfiguring all the settings each time is super valuable, especially with all the nuanced adjustments you've included. It makes the metronome not just a practice tool, but a personalized assistant for musicians who need to jump between different repertoires. This feature really adds to the metronome's practicality and user-friendliness. Great addition.
Okay, and that brings me to the final feature I have right now. This is the visual indicator. So what this does is when you start the metronome, it will indicate visually what the beats are. So in this case, it shows lines, and then it highlights the lines. So I'm in 3/4, so I see three. I actually see. So it starts with half a line, then it has a second line, a third line, and then it has the first half of the line rather than the second. So this needs a lot of improvement as well. It's not necessarily buggy. It just kind of doesn't serve its purpose in a very useful way. One thing that could really help is if the accent groupings were like a different color, that could help. Also, these lines make it a bit unclear. Like, why are there 4 lines when it's in 3? So, it's just not very clear. The best way to do the visual indicator, and I realize this might be a bit advanced. It might be not possible for the technology we're using, but the gold standard visual indicator would be Western standard style notation of the rhythms. So percussionists, when they play, they use a special. They're not playing specific notes necessarily. Sometimes they are, but for example, a cymbal is really not tuned to a specific note. So it would be indicated with the stems of the note and then like the letter X for the note head. So like that's basically what I want to see for the visual indicator is a Western standard notation of the rhythm that we're playing, so that a percussionist could load up all their settings and then not even turn the metronome on, just go down and look at the visual indicator and then practice the rhythm and then reveal to them what the rhythm actually is by starting the metronome. That would be a really good tool to help you sight read rhythms because you'll see the rhythm, but you won't hear it. You'll try to play it and you'll say, I am very confident this is it. You play it, and it's like, oh no, that wasn't the rhythm. And you could trust the metronome and you can learn to read music better. So that would be our holy grail goal, but it might be difficult with the limitations of the technology we're using.
I see what you mean. A clear and intuitive visual indicator is crucial, especially for something as rhythm-focused as a metronome. Differentiating accents with colors and improving the clarity of the visual representation would definitely enhance usability. And having a Western notation style display would indeed be the gold standard for musicians, making it an incredible tool for sight reading practice. Even if it's a bit advanced for the current tech, it's a fantastic long-term goal that could set your metronome apart even more. It's definitely worth exploring how far you can push the visual component within your tech constraints.
Okay, so yeah, I agree. So now, what I'm gonna do is get rid, or I'm going to hang up on you. Sorry, and then in our conversation history, I will give you version 1 of the code I have so far. Are you ready for that?
Absolutely. Go ahead. I'm looking forward to seeing the code and helping you refine it. Whenever you're ready, I'll be here to dive into it.
Okay, so now I'm hung up with the AI. So you can see kind of how I work, right? It's like I'm working with somebody, I'm talking with somebody, and it helps a lot because I'm no longer on my own. In addition to that, my I think one thing that will really help developers is I can use body language. I can use my hands. I can this helps this helps a person watching you talk to understand what you're saying, but it helps them not nearly as well as it helps you to formulate your speech. So body language in the end It's really about you communicating, you thinking, and you coming up with ideas. So if you're trying to develop and you're dealing with a tricky bug and you can't use arm gestures, you can't use body language, like it's going to be very difficult to describe and think about the bug. So this is a huge unhobbling in coding, in my opinion. Is now I'm in a state where not only can I use body language, I'm pointing to a line. I can't see my hand, but I can actually reach out and pretend like I'm actually touching the code and breaking a line apart, even though I don't actually see that happening. Like I'm actually like feeling the code in a way, and like like you heard like just how uh, clearly I was able to articulate what the bugs were with this code. Like that is a key in programming. You'll have to be very clear with what is going wrong before you can fix it. All right. So and I can use my mouse and keyboard in here too. It's just like a kind of a leggy, buggy mess when I try to do that. But I can certainly use my mouse and keyboard as well. So I don't have to, you know, have this and like as I'm talking be like that and I see my hand, you know, because I can see my hand or representation of my hand in here. Um, so like I can use like gestures and stuff like actually in the I can see my hand, so I can go over and like go like that and like point out. I can do that. So yeah, I just think that's like a huge game changer when it comes to programming because that can allow you to articulate bugs a lot better. All right, so it looks like it already found an issue. So it looks like every time I call render all, for example, when I change subdivision, I'm rebuilding the grouping select from scratch with update grouping ops, and I never restore whatever manual or preset grouping the chooser had chosen. To make the grouping pattern persist across subdivisions and any other re-renders, you can one capture the current grouping sel.value before you wipe the select. Number two, rebuild the options in grouping update grouping ops. Number three, restore the old value if it's still valid. So here's how to patch just your uh, so yeah. So you're gonna see this. You're gonna see this. This is how I like to code now. So yeah, we've got the update group ops. Now I could try to use my mouse. Yep. So I'm using my mouse now. Copy. Um, so now I've got the search box here. So we're gonna paste that in there. Now it gets a little bit. The best way to use your mouse, I would say, this is a key I've learned from VR. Open it up and take the battery out, and now your controller can't be found. This is a really good way to like wake up your controller. Also, if you're trying to use your mouse and your battery is in, it's not going to know whether to use your mouse or your controller. So now you remove all of that ambiguity. All right, so here's the function, update grouping ops. Let's collapse the function. There we go. When we see the next one is update accent pattern. So the AI is saying we want to change the update grouping ops to this. Okay, so I'm going to copy the change, go over to the code, select everything here, paste in the change. Okay, and then I'll use the on-screen keyboard. So now I will enter my battery back in. Okay, so I've got this back. So I'll use the on-screen keyboard. Um, yeah, and the cool thing about this is as lazy as you want to get while you code, you can. So if you want to just lay down and code, you can just do control shift like this and just hit this on the virtual screen, and it's like you're playing a video game. Like, I realize if you were actually coding, this would have like real develop like professional developers screaming. It's like, why would you do it this slow? Like, this is, you don't have to do it this badly. Or at the very least, they'd probably say, oh well, it's doing control shift up. There's some more optimized way to select all these lines. But that's the cool thing about programming as well. Is right now I'm talking to you guys, my subscribers, the 1,200 out there. Thank you so much for subscribing. It really helps me stay motivated on this channel. But instead, I could be talking to the AI, and the AI could teach me all of those optimizations. It could teach me the hotkeys and stuff like that. Okay, so we have this change now. Um, so uh, so let's yeah. So here's the function. There we go. Now we've got, oh, it looks like we got a bunch of errors here now. We can see because the yeah, something is going wrong here. Uh, so let's look at the change again. Oops, and I accidentally closed that. So let me open it again. There we go. So let's look at the change again. I'll move this menu away. There we go. Okay, so after rebuilding, so here's how to patch your function. Okay. Oh yeah. Uh, Integrate the snippet into the full file, please, and send me the updated version. Yeah, so you can go through and make those changes yourself. But if it does have the ability to send you the full version and to actually do a good job of it, that's ideal. Now it's going to use a feature called Canvas. I've had very bad luck with Canvas. I do not like Canvas. Um, but let's see how it does. And the reason I don't like Canvas is because it catastrophically fails all the time. So if we can look down and see how many lines of code this is about 595 lines of code. So it should be about that. The other really cool thing is I'm really well enabled to just use this one broken controller. And it's because of all the optimizations I get with VS Code. So we can see this source control panel that comes by default. You don't even have to install an extension. I can discard all my changes. Not only that, if I click on the file before I do that, I can see very clearly all the changes I'm going to discard. So I'm going to, and you can see that side by side with the other file. But you have to enable that. Um, so now I will demonstrate the power of being able to talk to the AI. Hey, I'm using VS Code. I'm using the source control panel. I clicked on the file that I changed, and I'm seeing the changes, but I notice I'm not seeing the changes side by side with the old version of the file. All I can see is one the file after the changes have been made. How can I see both the unchanged file and the changed file and the diff between them two side by side?
To see the changes side by side in VS Code, you can open the diff editor in a side-by-side view. Here's how you can do it. Open the source control panel by clicking on the source control icon on the activity bar. Click on the file you want to review. This will open the diff view. If it's currently showing only the modified version, look at the top right corner of the diff editor. You should see an icon that looks like two columns or a button labeled Toggle Inline View. Click that icon to switch from the inline view to the side-by-side or split view. This will show the original file on one side and the modified file on the other, highlighting the differences. That should give you the side-by-side diff view you're looking for.
Okay, well, I think I figured it out. I had the sidebar open, the source control sidebar, and that collapsed it into one. So if I just simply close that sidebar, now I get the side-by-side view that I was looking for.
Nice. That's a solid trick to get your side-by-side view back. It's always the little things in the interface that can trip you up. Anything else you're trying to tweak or got it all set now?
I'm all set.
Great. If anything else pops up or you need a hand with something else,
Okay, so yeah, you can see how useful that is, right? It can walk you through and give you optimizations, anything you can think of. Now I figured it out myself, but it is nice to have that ability to basically ask a senior developer for help without worrying about bothering them or being a pest. You can be as much of a pest as you want with the AI; it doesn't care. So now we can see the change side by side. So all I did was add this extra code. Let's revert this change. Okay, and now let's take the full file. So this changes file is no more. So let's take the full file that it gives us, and let's do a sanity check on it. So we've got 579 lines on this one. So let's take this full file, paste it in. So Control A, Control. Okay, so see, this is why I haven't had a lot of luck with and I'm going to turn off my preview here with the canvas mode. This is something I consistently see happen with canvas mode. It cuts off lines. Why is it doing that? So if we look at the changes, we can see, look, whole sections of the code have just been removed. And if we go in and look at those sections, look at what it did, is it rats itself out as to what it's doing, or at least it used to. I don't know what it's doing now. Um, but what it used to say is okay, I abbreviated this section. You know what this code is. It's like, well, okay, maybe I do, but I asked you to do the full file and you didn't do it. So um, this is actually let's see what this looks like, because I mean it is possible that it optimized it down to that number of lines, but I have a feeling that it just borked itself. Yeah, so it borked itself. We can see the start does nothing, so we'll hit F12. This is a really useful. This I'm using Chrome, so Chrome comes with a F12 console that is really useful. So if we hit start, this is interesting because we don't see any errors there, but obviously the code isn't running, and we don't have any problems here either. So it just completely killed the start button. So we can also use this tool here um, uh, to look at that section of the start button code. So this is the button ID start. So let's search for start. So Control A S T. Oops. Okay. Oops. There we go. START. All right. So there's the CSS for the button. On click. So start btn dot on click. So I think that's the interesting part. Start btn dot on click. Element by ID start. start measure. Yeah, so here we go. See? So it abbreviated all this. It basically said, "Oh, you know what's in here. We just it's what was in there before." So if we look at the start metronome here, so we'll close this panel and we'll look at us. We'll try to find in here start metronome. So I'll do a control F and I'll do START and then a capital M. Then we should be able to find the start metronome function pretty easily. Yeah. So look at all this code. See, it just said it just abbreviated it. It just said, oh, it's what you had before. We don't need to make changes there. Which okay, like as I become more familiar, like at the same time, it's a big deal. It's not a big deal, but I feel like it's a big deal because I asked it to do something and it didn't do it. So like, imagine in alignment, I ask it, "Oh, make me the wealthiest person in the world, but don't kill my family." It's like, well, I just killed, I killed your dog. Like that, technically, they're not part of your family. It's just your dog. You'll be on. It's like, yeah. Or like, well, I didn't kill your family, but I cut off one of your arms. Like, do you really need an arm to be the wealthiest man in the world? You've got two. You know what I mean? It's really concerning that it doesn't do, or at least attempt to do, exactly what you tell it to do. That is very concerning to me. All right, but in this case, this will be fine. So I'm gonna deactivate my controller. Oops, reposition that. There we go. Deactivate my controller. All right, that way I don't have any ambiguity as to whether I'm using the controller or the mouse. Okay, and then I'll go copy paste in this change. Okay, so copy paste this. So enter that, create a new line. Oops, I gotta use my keyboard as well. So hit enter. Enter again. Oh, I'll hit control paste. Uh, you know what? This is kind of not working. So let's do yeah, let's use the controller. Okay, so we're gonna go to yeah, we're gonna start with it's so annoying. It did it with all of these. So we'll start with the playwood. So we're gonna copy that, come here, search for it, so paste that in. There we go. So playwood. So we need all of this code here. So what we're gonna do is select down there, and we're gonna talk to the AI for some optimizations, but work on it without the optimizations while we're having the discussion. Hey, I need your help for some optimizations in VS Studio Code. When you're ready, I'll tell you the optimization I need help with, and hopefully you will help me with it.
Absolutely. I'm ready whenever you are. Just let me know what specific optimizations you're looking to achieve in VS Code, and we'll tackle them step by step.
Okay, so specifically, what I want to do is click a line. So, for example, line 373, and then I want to select, or I want to highlight. I want to highlight every line above it up to a certain line. For example, all the way up to line 360. So uh, so next I'll tell you what I'm doing to do that, and then hopefully you can give me an optimization. Are you ready for that?
Got it. I'm ready. Let me know how you're currently doing it, and we'll see how we can streamline the process.
Okay, so currently what I'm doing is hitting Control Shift up one line at a time until I get all the way up to my target line. Preferably, I would like to do something like Control Shift and then the number of lines to move up. Is there any kind of optimization like that?
Yes, there's a more efficient way to do that. You can place your cursor on line 373, then hold down Shift and click on line 360 in the gutter, the line number area on the left. This will highlight all the lines in between in one go. Another method is to place the cursor at line 373, then use Ctrl G to open the Go to Line prompt, type 3.
I mean, there we have it. We don't have to hear anymore. Like, look what I can do now. So I click on that and then I go Control Shift. And then I want to go up to line 359. Look at that. Look at that. You know, that took me from going Control Shift up to select things to literally 3 clicks. So that took me down from like 30 clicks to 3 clicks, all because I had a brief conversation with the AI. So, I mean, you tell me, is that valuable? Depends on what you do with it. All right, so yeah, now we've got to the play wood function. Looks good. So now the next function will be the play main function. Okay, so now we can put the, oops, it's something, there's some kind of issue where I can't scroll back and forth now. Oh, I have Control Shift still selected. Sorry, you can't see that because you can't see everything I'm seeing. But you'll have to take my word for it. In my crazy mind, the voices in my head that I'm looking at through this headset are telling me that is the case. Okay, so yeah, now we just have to click on the line, and then we just have to click on the line we want. So we want 397. Oh, I guess you have to do it. You have to do it in the correct order. So yeah, 397 to 373. Oops, why is that not working? It's not working anymore. Do I have? Oh, I see. I see. So the way you do this is you click on the line you want your highlight to end on. So I want 398 to not be highlighted. Then you hold down Control and Shift, and then you click on the line you want the highlighting to end on. So we're gonna do 383. Uh, oh, but there's a little bit of a problem here. I can't. It's too much of a. So okay, so we're gonna get rid of Control and Shift. Because if you're doing Control and Shift, you can't go up and down anymore. You can only go right and left. So what we're gonna do is collapse the function. You know what? Let's make this easier on ourselves. So we're gonna go with the changes. We're gonna do control. Actually, we already have all the changes here. Yeah. So here, so let's not work in that index tree. That makes it a bit too difficult to work. So it's there we go. Now we have the ability to collapse these down. So we're going to get rid of all of these here, and we're going to replace them with the actual code, which sucks that we have to do that. It's kind of a sign that it's lying to you, which is one of basically if the AI ever lies to you, it's game over when it comes to AI safety and when it comes to alignment, because you know if it can lie to you, um, then it's gonna outsmart you. Like it's just that's something it should not be able to do, is to tell lies, because the moment it can tell lies is the moment it can complete and totally deceive you, that it convinces you to work against your own best interests. So I feel like lying is the number one thing that it should not be able to do. But unfortunately, lying and gaslighting seems to be one of the things it does best. Okay, so oops, and I opened Obsidian to all my sensitive info, which is not good, um, which is almost scrap worthy for this video. So I guess I'll just continue on and yeah, okay, that was bad. Well, if the more I Streisand effect, right? Okay, well, shoot. If you're this into my channel where you're doing that, you earned it. Hack away. Enjoy your hacking. Okay, so okay, so let's see here. And all of that, those systems are down anyway right now because they freaking blew up. They didn't work. All right, so okay, so the function now we're gonna just do these one by one. So the next one is play main. Oh, yeah. So basically, so we have to go to the changes section here. Yep, and then we have to find play main. So we can search for it. Control F. PlayMain. Okay. There we go. So now we've got it. So uh, okay. So now we've got to get the whole thing. So we're gonna select the line that we don't want highlighted, scroll up to the line that we do want highlighted, and then so that's going to be 373. So now hit Control Shift, click on the 373 itself, then deselect Shift, hit C for Control C, come in here, and then we're going to do the same thing. Control Shift, select that line, and then unselect Shift and hit V. And there we go. So now we're good to go on that. That change should be better now. So now we can collapse this, and we've got just the ellipses without the comment there. So we're going to have to do that for every time it shorthands like this, even though it told us that it wouldn't shorthand like this. So we see we got a lot of work to do, but hopefully it'll pay off, and we'll get this done. But I feel like that, if I just have simple busy work that you would like give to a junior engineer or whatever, I feel like I want to do that outside of VR and just using my keyboard and mouse. And not only that, I think this video I kind of made my point about the usefulness and power of combining VR, a headset, vscode, and the AI. You can see the optimizations it gave me. We can see if I'm describing a bug, I can use my hands to help me just describe it and just like, talk as if I were talking to another person, which can really help you think and stay on topic. My brain is trapped in this virtual reality now, so like I can't exactly just start binge watching my favorite YouTube video, or I can, but I don't feel like I want to because I feel like my focus is more directed. So I think I've made my point. In addition to that, we're at the 1 hour and 20 mark very nearly. So I think I'm going to end the video, make those changes off video, just outside of VR and my keyboard and mouse, because that'll be easier. And I'll see you in the next video. So hopefully this got some value. Um, if you're dirt broke, a Quest 1 nowadays is probably pretty damn cheap. And you can do this with, a beat up old Quest 1 with one controller not working, the other one beat up from being dropped. And I can maximize myself because all I'm doing is talking right now. So you don't need to go out and buy, the like the most expensive VR headset out there. All you need is like a beat up old broken Quest 1, the link, and then a computer with enough juice to like work seamlessly. Even that, my computer is quite old these days. I have a RX 260, RTX 260. It's I got it from a discount store, so like you really don't need to go out and spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to do what I'm doing here. And if you do what I'm doing here, you talk to the AI in conversational mode. You should be able to learn a lot about programming very rapidly, far much rapidly than you would learn from a tutorial or reading a book or anything like that. I mean, we saw just the ability to optimize, use the optimizations. You click there, you hit Control Shift, and then you select the line and it selects them all. That took me from going Control Shift up, Control Shift up, Control Shift up a million times, just for a brief, probably like 10-second conversation with the AI. So that's really what this is all about is rapid learning. You want to be able to learn optimizations, concepts, things like that as quickly as you possibly can. And let me leave you with one final thing, um, because this speaks as well to the power of how I've been using the AIs, and I do have the full 200 a month subscription, but I'm sure you can do this sort of thing without that. But anyways, one of the things I want is my own website. I want to give this metronome out to the world, either for free or more ideally for some sort of compensation for the time and effort I put into this. Not necessarily to enrich myself, but to put myself in a stable financial situation, of which I am certainly not in today. So, to enable myself to put out more good things to more good people. Potentially, I'm looking at monetizing some of the things I create. So I can do that with a personal website that's set up for e-commerce. So I had a lot of conversations with the AI about that, completely, rapid learning. Like it's telling me how to do this stuff. I don't have to read a textbook. I don't have to go to a university. It just tells me how to do this stuff. So one of the things it told me about that I didn't know about before was something called GitHub Pages. So I have a special GitHub repository on my GitHub, which we'll go to right now. So we're going to go to github.com slash my name there. And now we're going to go to my repositories and see this kind of unusual naming for my repository, .github.io. So that means anything in this repository is going to be served up at a domain, which is my account name, .github.io. So if you want to create a personal website, you need two things. You need a domain, and you can use a free domain potentially, but you want it to be snappy, right? You want it to be like your first name, your first and last name .com, or something that represents you in a good light. You don't want it to be your first and last name .chickenkiller.com or something like that. And then you also need a platform as well. So you can pay for platforms. If anyone follows Ali Abdal, who's pretty solid, Ghost is the one he recommends. But all of these are not free. You can't do this for free. I am being convinced more. I am kind of that person where everything should be free online. Just we should live in this idealized utopic society where no one is deprived access to anything. That is kind of my mentality. But I'm being convinced more and more that, well, you can't, like it just doesn't work that way. It's like people have to live in the society we live in, whether it's flawed or not, and paying for things can actually provide value equal to or greater than the amount you pay. So $9 per month, you get a platform, and then it's going to be something like at most like $50 per year to buy a domain. So, to be complaining about those prices is kind of silly anyway. But in the meantime, if it's not ready to go, if it's not developed yet, just use GitHub Pages, and there you go. You can hand out this link to anyone. I'll include it in the description of the video. And I got to say one more time, none of this came from me. This is all from discussions with the AI. This is all from cross-referencing with resources. I did not know how to use uh, GitHub Pages. I didn't even know GitHub Pages existed. So that's the end of this video. It's a video that demonstrates how I've been prompting the AI. You hear a lot about prompt engineering, um, but you don't hear that much about advanced voice mode and the power of prompting it through speaking to it and listening to it as if it were another person, rather than giving it a markdown prompt engineered sort of thing. So hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.